In 2026, Manh Hung, a 45-year-old man from Deptford, was jailed for 3 years and 6 months after being convicted of child sexual offences committed in Rochester. Manh Hung, of Grove Street, Deptford, London, was sentenced at Maidstone Crown Court on Tuesday, the 21st of July 2026, to 3 years and 6 months in prison. The court heard that Kent police launched an investigation after a victim disclosed that had made them perform an indecent act and watch pornography several years prior in Rochester. Was arrested in April 2023 and subsequently charged with sexual activity with a child and causing a child to watch a sexual act. Although he denied the allegations, a jury found him guilty of both counts following a trial. The judge sentenced to 3 years and 6 months imprisonment. The court also made him subject to a 15-year Sexual Harm Prevention Order, SHPO. Following his convictions for child sexual abuse, was placed on the sex offenders register indefinitely. He also remains subject to statutory public protection notification requirements, license conditions, and mandatory risk management protocols by law enforcement upon any eventual release from custody. In 2026, Jude Maruska, a 23-year-old man from Worcester, was jailed for 3 years and 8 months after breaching a sexual harm prevention order to contact a teenage girl on Snapchat for explicit images. Jude Maruska, of Lingmore Court, Worcester, was sentenced at Worcester Crown Court on Monday, the 27th of July 2026, to a total of 44 months imprisonment. The court heard that officers from West Mercia Police's Management of Sexual or Violent Offenders, MOSUVO, team conducted a routine visit in June and discovered Snapchat installed on his device, violating an SHPO imposed in August 2024. Forensic analysis revealed Maruska had been using the app between May and June to contact a teenage girl and request sexual images. Following his arrest by South Worcestershire CID on the 22nd of June, Maruska admitted the charges and acknowledged contacting a second girl. The judge sentenced Maruska to 20 months concurrently for 2 counts of breaching an SHPO, alongside 6 months consecutively for causing or inciting a girl aged 13 to 15 to engage in sexual activity. The court also activated his previously suspended 18-month sentence, ordered the confiscation of his mobile phone, and imposed a £228 victim surcharge. Following his convictions, Maruska remains subject to his Sexual Harm Prevention Order, SHPO, and the Sex Offenders Register. He also remains subject to statutory public protection notification requirements, license conditions, and ongoing monitoring by MOSUVO officers upon any eventual release from prison. In 2026, Mohammed ANS, a man from Tavistock, was jailed for 20 years with an extended license of 3 years after being convicted of raping 3 women he met on dating apps. Mohammed ANS, of Tavistock, was sentenced at Plymouth Crown Court on Thursday, the 30th of July 2026, to 20 years in prison with a further 3 years to be served on license. His sentencing followed a 14-day trial where he was found guilty of 4 counts of rape committed against 3 female victims. The court heard that ANS used online dating applications to target and meet the women before subjecting them to sexual assaults. One survivor bravely spoke out during sentencing, highlighting how ANS used his charisma to deceive and harm his victims. The judge sentenced ANS to a total custodial term of 20 years, alongside an extended license period of 3 years upon release. Following his convictions for multiple counts of rape, ANS was placed on the sex offenders register for life. He also remains subject to statutory public protection notification requirements, lifetime license supervision, and long-term risk management protocols by law enforcement upon any eventual release from custody. In 2026, Kieran Mansfield, a 35-year-old man from Leigh-on-Sea, pleaded guilty to kidnapping a girl in Southend and assault with intent to commit a sexual offence. Kieran Mansfield, of Stonehill Road, Leigh-on-Sea, appeared at Basildon Crown Court on Monday, the 27th of July 2026, where he entered guilty pleas on the first day of his trial. The court heard that on the evening of Thursday, the 5th of February 2026, Mansfield approached a girl from behind on Woodley Avenue, Southend, threw her to the ground, and assaulted her. Essex police launched an immediate investigation and arrested Mansfield on Saturday, the 7th of February. At court, Mansfield admitted to kidnapping, assault with intent to commit a sexual offence, failing to comply with a Sexual Harm Prevention Order, SHPO, and supplying false information in relation to a SHPO. 1 count of sexual assault was ordered to lie on file. The judge remanded Mansfield in custody ahead of his sentencing hearing, scheduled for Basildon Crown Court on Thursday, 1 October 2026. Following his convictions for attempted sexual assault and SHPO breaches, Mansfield faces substantial statutory public protection measures. He also remains subject to strict remand conditions, notification requirements, and ongoing risk assessments by law enforcement until his final sentence is imposed. In 2026, Ilias Hassan, a 23-year-old man from Northampton, was jailed for over 5 years after being convicted of raping a woman at a student accommodation in Sheffield. Ilias Hassan, of Bristle Street, Northampton, was sentenced at Sheffield Crown Court on Wednesday, 29 July 2026, to 5 years and 3 months in prison. The court heard that Hassan raped a woman at a student accommodation in Sheffield city centre during the early hours of 8 May 2023. The victim reported the attack to South Yorkshire Police, leading to Hassan's arrest later that same day. Despite claiming in a prepared police statement that his recall was very clear, officers uncovered a voice note Hassan sent shortly after the offence, in which he said he could not remember anything. Following a trial at Sheffield Crown Court, a jury found him guilty of rape on 13 February 2026. The judge sentenced Hassan to 5 years and 3 months imprisonment and handed him a 10-year restraining order. Following his conviction for rape, Hassan was placed on the sex offenders register indefinitely. He also remains subject to statutory public protection notification requirements, license conditions, and long-term risk management protocols by law enforcement upon any eventual release from custody. In 2026, Deborah Franklin, a 65-year-old former teacher from Radlett, was convicted of 8 counts of gross indecency involving a boy under 14 at a Hertfordshire preparatory school. Deborah Franklin, of Fairfield Close, Radlett, was convicted by a jury at St Albans Crown Court on Wednesday, 29 July 2026, following a 5-day trial. The court heard that between 1991 and 1995, Franklin, who worked as a teacher and home tutor, had sex with the boy on multiple occasions and displayed flirtatious behavior in front of others. Hertfordshire Constabulary received a report in March 2024 and charged Franklin the same month under the Indecency with Children Act 1960. Her school suspended her once the allegations were disclosed. Franklin denied all charges, pleading not guilty in April 2025, but was found guilty on all 8 counts. The judge remanded Franklin into custody ahead of her sentencing hearing, which is scheduled to take place at St Albans Crown Court on Thursday, 1 October 2026. Following her convictions for gross indecency with a child, Franklin faces substantial statutory public protection measures. She also remains subject to strict remand conditions, notification requirements, and ongoing risk assessments by law enforcement until her final sentence is imposed.